tensions across West Asia remain extremely high after a dramatic escalation between Iran and the United States as well as Israel triggered retaliatory strikes across the Gulf region. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has now issued an apology to neighbouring countries that were hit during Iranian retaliation, but the apology comes with a warning that Iran will only stop attacks if those countries do not strike first. Take a look.
خدمت مردم عزیز کشورمون سلام عرض میکنم. تسلیت میگم مجددا شهادت مقام معظم رهبری رو، فرماندهان بزرگوار کشورمون رو، دانش آموزان مظلوم و بیگناهی رو که مدعیان حقوق بشر، مدعیان آزادی، مدعیان انسانیت بیگناه با بمباران شهید کردن و روندی که متاسفانه وجود داره بدون توجه به تمام قوانین بین المللی هر جایی رو که دلشون میخواد بمباران میکنن و از مدارس و بیمارستان‌ها و مراکز مختلف در کشور.
Iranian President Pezeshkian has now said that Tehran will not attack its neighbors anymore. Even as Tehran attempts to signal restraint, criticism is now coming from within the Gulf region itself. Dubai billionaire Khalaf Ahmad Al Habtoor has launched a sharp attack on US President Donald Trump, questioning the decision that led to the escalation in war and accusing Washington of dragging West Asia into a war that regional countries never asked for. Habtoor went on to question the very basis of Washington's decision to launch strikes on Iran, asking who authorized the United States to push the region into a conflict and whether the consequences for West Asia were ever properly considered. In a strongly worded message, the Dubai businessman warned that the escalation has placed Gulf nations in the middle of a dangerous confrontation they never chose. And he also questioned what happened to the promise of peace and stability. Meanwhile, the impact of the escalating conflict is already being felt across several Gulf nations, many of which host US military installations. In the United Arab Emirates, strikes were reported near the area of Dubai International Airport today, along the damage in Palm Jumeirah and near the iconic Burj Al Arab, while drones and their debris also triggered a fire near the US consulate in Dubai. In Qatar, authorities say a ballistic missile struck Al Udeid Air Base, the largest US military facility in the region. Bahrain reported a missile impact on state-run oil refinery, while Saudi Arabia says it intercepted attacks targeting the Ras Tanura refinery and an air base housing US forces. Kuwait too reported heightened air defense activity around strategic installations and fears of incoming drones. The widening footprint of these attacks underscores just how quickly the conflict has now spread across West Asia, pulling multiple Gulf nations into a confrontation that many in the region say they never wanted. So the big question is whether West Asia is now on the brink of a full-scale regional conflict and whether global powers have pushed the region into a war that its own countries never wanted in the first place. Joining me on the show is Major General Rajan Kochar. He is a defence expert. Also with us is Group Captain V.N. Shah, a defence and strategic expert. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking time out. Group Captain V.N. Shah, let me come to you first, sir. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has apologized for the very first time. It's been more than a week since the war started in West Asia. And for the very first time, we are looking at Iranian leadership coming out to apologize to its neighboring countries, saying that they do not want to attack their neighbors, but if provoked, they will resort to retaliation. Is this genuine restraint? Are we looking at genuine restraint for the very first time, or is it simply strategic messaging?
Well, the different quarters, who are up in this war, they are looking at differently. As far as I'm concerned, I'm seeing as a very small, but yet a very big shift in Iranian approach. I'll take you and your viewers back to 2024, when Khamenei had criticized entire Islamic State who were not siding with Iran in dealing with Israel or the US-Israel combination. And he had told at that time that he will vow to take revenge with all these Islamic states who are doing non-Islamic job by siding with them, and that it may leave for them, the other countries, Bahrain, Kuwait, and blah, blah, to face the divine revenge as well as the regional consequences. This is just about 2 years back, 2024. And what has happened in the last 8 days of the war exactly points out that what Khamenei had vowed to, the leadership, whosoever is the leadership right now, they have been treading that way, that path. So there was no shift in that. But today, when the PM has said that he will not attack them, so it is a distinct shift from Khamenei's stance. So like we have to look at slightly differently. Now, various questions are being asked which way the Israeli war is heading right now, or Iranian war is heading right now. Well, as we face your questions, subsequent questions, we will try to answer that. But right now, I think this is a very big statement that Iranian PM has made, and I think he means it. Now, all the attacks are going to, mostly the U.S. bases which are in the region, wherever they are. There is one thing that we have to understand: these drones, these missiles that Iran possesses, are not very precise. The drones can be waylaid by the anti-drone system to miss their target, and if they miss their target, they will hit somewhere. They are the suicidal, they are the kamikaze drones, suicidal drones. It will hit somewhere. So it is possible that Iran is not intentionally hitting the civilian places in these countries, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Iraq, Jordan, Saudi. But it could be now hitting just by error, but just by mistake, or by the inbuilt system in the anti-drone system that waylays the given target. Also remember, most of the drones and the missiles were earlier designed to navigate with the satellite systems. So those navigation systems today are being denied to Iran. So Russians, they have given them their system. Also, there is another standby system within the missile. We call it inertial navigation system, which is taking care of those standby things. But that is not absolutely precise. They are all commercial grade, which may be missing the target. So we have to see in that perspective, Shweta.
All right. Thank you for setting the ball rolling. Major General Kocher is also with us. General, this is for the first time we are looking at some sort of reprieve there for the Middle Eastern region, not just acceptance that perhaps Middle East, the entire West Asian region, was caught not wanting to be a part of the war, but being dragged into this war by the United States. For the first time, we're also looking at clergy, businessmen, including Khalaf Ahmad Al Habtoor, coming on record suggesting that the US did not consider the interests of the West Asia while starting that war. At the same time, Iranian president is also, showing restraint. He's apologizing to his neighbors. Is this one phase of war now over? Are we looking at some sort of peace going forward? What are you making of these statements coming simultaneously, one after the other?
Okay, thank you, Shweta. I think, first of all, I don't think the phase one is over or anything like that. This is a strategic signaling on the part of Iran to mend fences with its neighbors. Because you see, there has been quite a uproar among the neighboring nations when these drones and missiles were hitting their airports and other refineries and things like that. Bahrain refinery was also attacked. Saudi Arabia refinery has also been attacked. So, and even so I think they are wanting to mend fences with their neighbors because they need to coexist with them. Because later on, you see, this war will get over, but the relationships you may be damaged for years to come. So I think this is one statement you have to see in that perspective that Iran does not want to spoil a relationship with its neighbors in spite of their being harboring the US bases. The second important aspect, what I can observe is that even after the statement has been issued, the attack on the air bases continue. So that is very, very clear that there is no respite in the war. And the statements which are emanating from President Trump also do not suggest any cooling down as far as the US is concerned or the Israelis are concerned. The next most important aspect I actually see in this war, where it is heading, is that there is an urgency now on the part of United States as well as Israel to cause maximum damage in the minimum possible time, because I don't see this war going beyond another 5 to 7 days. And why I actually say that is, this war is a war of logistics. This war is a war of logistic stamina. And it's an attrition war. It's not a ground offensive where wars are fought for years and months. There is a limit to the capacity of each of the country, including USA, which may actually boast of a great inventory of missiles and interceptors, but at the level they are being expended, I don't think they can be replenished at that same rate. So United States has not been able to achieve any of its objectives. Let me tell you, Shweta, and bluntly, I'm telling you this.
Since you mentioned it, sir, I think let's begin with, there's no clarity on what the objective of the United States was. From day one, there's been a change in stance as far as US is concerned on what their end objective of starting a war in West Asia was. They started with wanting to replace the regime, then further talked about, actually it began with nuclear weapon. The fact that there is a 60% uranium enrichment in Iran, and then they're very close to making a nuclear weapon, and Iran can never be a nuclear state. Then it went on to trying to change Iranian regime, and then finally it's become about liberating people of Iran. None of that has come to fruition. So that brings me to the question that's actually weighing on a lot of people's mind. And Group Captain Vyenja, perhaps you can come in here, sir. Is that for US as well as for Iran, it's going to be about the cost of this war. While cost of this war is heavily being borne by the United States, the idea here, as many are looking at, is that Iran wants to ensure that this becomes a prolonged war. Because when it becomes a prolonged war, not only does it hurt the arsenal of US Navy, but at the same time, it also builds more pressure on people. It's the cost of the war. And once that goes up, perhaps the Middle Eastern partners, the GCC countries, will feel the pressure and will eventually then tell US to stop doing what it's doing.
Well, you have asked a very important question, and I'll try to answer in the perspective what it is. Recall why President Trump had taken out his country out of the JCPO. There was just one reason, and that reason was the agreement doesn't contain Iran from developing the ballistic missile. That was the perspective. But subsequently, what also emerged was Iran was not constrained by that JCPO and few IAEA making those inspections. It was evident that Iran was going for nuclear grade uranium. There was no doubt. Iran had the need for building up their uranium for running their reactors. For that, you need 3.5% uranium. 7.5% or 7% also is fine. You can go to almost up to 40%, but the 40% uranium you can't use in those power plants unless you introduce the other inactive substances, boron or something like that. So to make the percentage low. So there was no need for the Iran to go to the 60% or 92.5% grade of uranium. It is reported, and it is almost verified by the two samples of the IAEA. It is on record that there were traces of 92.5% uranium in some of the places. So that means Iran was going for weapon grade uranium, there is no doubt.